Hi there, Dawn McGee here from Royal LePage Atlantic. I want to go over 6 common mistakes that buyers do when they go to buy a house. First of all, they often don't start with a budget. Yes, they have the amount of pre-approval amount that the mortgage said they could borrow, but they don't have an actual monthly budget of what their expenses are going to be once they purchase this property. What are your housing expenses? What are the taxes? What are the utilities? What do you have budgeted for sports fees and entertainment, that sort of thing? And are you going to be able to afford that house and still maintain those expenses? So if you come across a house that you may prefer that really checks off all the boxes and it's a bit higher price, maybe you might have to cut back on some of those monthly expenses in order to get the house that you really want, or vice versa. Maybe you want to still budget for a trip away every other year. Maybe you need to cut back on the mortgage amount and look for a smaller house. So set out a budget of what you really want to spend in a month, including your mortgage, and go from there. Don't focus too much on the house. House is important, but also its location is very important. Look around the neighborhood, see what the property values are in the neighborhood, what amenities and what developments does that community have coming up. Those could really affect market value in the long run. And is that community going to suit your needs? 1 year, 5 year down the roads? Will it have amenities to support your kids growing up, that sort of thing. Also, don't go looking at houses that are way outside your budget. Yeah, it's okay to look at ones that are a bit outside your budget because there usually is some flexibility in the purchase price, and sometimes sellers will consider a low-ball offer if their property has been on the market a long time. But for the most part, stay away from properties that are just going to, make you fall in love with them, and then all the rest that you see are going to be disappointments to you. So stay away from those overpriced properties, and plus the seller goes to work and gets them ready to view, and to know that you were not even serious in the first place is a real tick off for most sellers. So next, I would say be smart about anticipated renovations and what you can take on. Most mortgages will only allow you 10% over the mortgage in the mortgage amount to allot for renovations or repairs that you have to do. So if you have a costly repair that you're looking at for a particular house that you're considering buying, consider having the seller do the work before you buy, and that way it won't affect your mortgage amount. If it's too big and you can't fit it into your mortgage, that's something that may have to come out of your pocket down the road, or you might have to save for. So consider your renovations. Of course, the renovations that are maintenance based, of course, should always be priority over, changing countertops or anything like that. That doesn't really affect the maintenance and well-being of the property. Next up, you should always have an emergency fund, and emergency house fund, I should say, because and that should not be touched. Often buyers tend to dip into that for emergencies, and then they don't have the money available there when they have a true repair come up that needs to be fixed quickly. So always have an emergency fund and don't touch it. Last but not least is don't be cheap. Don't cheap out if you can help it. Yes, stay within your means, but keep in mind that if you really need to, if commuting time and travel time is a priority for you, and keeping those times low so you can spend more time with your family, you might have to increase your budget in order to get the house in the right location, in order to give you that priority in your home life. So, and also, if you're only looking at fixer-uppers because you like the price range, consider the time that you have and the resources it's going to take to fix that house up. Do you have the time and the money to take on those renovations? And give value to the time, your time, that it would take to take on those renovations. You might have to increase your budget again to get something that's more move-in ready, and something that you can use your time more effectively. A little bonus tip, realtors usually offer their price for free. So if you want to know the market value of an area before you go purchasing, have them do a bit of research for you, or maybe they may know if there's any up and coming developments that might affect an area you're considering. Also, before you go ahead and think about any renovations, it's a good idea to talk to them and see what would be the best return on your on your investment. Lastly, have a realtor work with you if you really want to get a jump on some of those properties. Right now we're in a seller's market, so a lot of times properties aren't even hitting the market before there are buyers all over them, and that's because they have a realtor working for them, and we have a lot of discussion amongst themselves about listings we have coming on, or does anybody have a property like this because I have a buyer for it. So yeah, it's a seller's market, so you really want to be working with a buyer or an agent at this point to get them getting a jump on those properties for you. So that's all for now. Be sure to like and subscribe this video, and I'll give you lots more content. Take care.